For all the further out games we saw at E3 2021, for me, the best trailer was easily Obsidian with The Outer Worlds 2, what many people were actually quite surprised to see at E3 2021. The trailer was super self-aware, poking fun at CGI and far out trailers in general, how they all kind of follow a similar formula, and some of the stuff just never actually makes it into the final product. And although Obsidian quite literally says in the trailer that all that's done in the game is the title, because that's all they're really showing in the game, no actual gameplay, I actually think The Outer Worlds 2 is quite a bit further along than the vast majority of people think, and I have some evidence to back this up and some updates that were just posted a couple of days ago. So one of the big reasons people are pretty surprised to see The Outer Worlds 2 already is because even though the game was released all the way back in late 2019, the final DLC for the game only came out a few months ago in March of 2021. But as you probably knew, Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky did co-direct The Outer Worlds 1. These being those guys who were the original creators of Fallout. That was a big point in the marketing and a lot of people really ate that up. But one of the pretty interesting decisions made was they did not direct the 2 DLC expansions for The Outer Worlds. And in fact, the first expansion, Peril and Gorgon, was directed by Carrie Patel, and the second one with Murder on Eridanos was directed by Megan Starks. And what it seems like happened here was all the way back in late 2019, as The Outer Worlds 1 was being complete, they actually immediately started work on The Outer Worlds 2, or even actually started working on The Outer Worlds 2 before The Outer Worlds 1 even released. And although that may seem like a crazy concept, it wasn't all that crazy. I actually made a video back at the time speculating that this was happening, mainly due to some of the job listings popping up and quotes by Xbox employees, and it seems like this is confirmed, as a LinkedIn profile was just updated following the announcement of The Outer Worlds 2. And it does show one employee who seemingly has been working on The Outer Worlds 2 for 1 year, 10 months already. And it seems like this person was hired at Obsidian specifically to work on The Outer Worlds 2, as since his hiring date, he has really only worked on this project and then spent a little bit of time on The Outer Worlds 1. But largely, it seems like his main job was focused around The Outer Worlds 2 for this full 1 year, 10 months already. And it seems like one of the big reasons all of this was happening is actually just Microsoft. When Microsoft bought Obsidian in 2018, there was already a lot of work done on The Outer Worlds 1. It was well into development, and we heard at the time how Microsoft was pretty hands-off with that game. They weren't really involved in development too much. In fact, Microsoft didn't even publish the game. It was published by a subsidiary of Take-Two with Private Division. But even despite that, Microsoft still took great interest in it. And one of the super notable quotes we had back in 2019 was from Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Game Studios, where he does say, "From what we've seen of The Outer Worlds, my hope is that that's something we can build and that it really becomes an enduring franchise and it really starts to grow and we can help expand that." So the head of Xbox Game Studios said that before The Outer Worlds 1 was even released to the public, they were already talking about sequels and turning it into a full-fledged franchise before the first game even came out. During the development and post-release with The Outer Worlds 1, we heard a lot of times how it was a AA game, how due to budget restrictions, there was a couple of things devs wanted to do but couldn't implement, things like third-person, romance, and other RPG features. So while on one hand, this may seem kind of confusing, how it seems like Obsidian actually started work on The Outer Worlds 2 before The Outer Worlds 1 even released, it seems like a lot of this is motivated by both Obsidian wanting to create a full-fledged, proper AAA RPG in this world, Xbox wanting to get more and more into the Outer Worlds space. A lot of people loved The Outer Worlds 1, and rather than wait, they just kind of jumped on that immediately, and we are almost 2 years into development of The Outer Worlds 2 based off this LinkedIn, and even just based off some of the speculation that has been going on in the interim. Although, even with all of that said, the release of this one is still pretty confusing, mainly due to Obsidian just having a ton of projects going on right now. Avowed is likely the next big thing coming from this company. We don't know much about it, obviously wasn't at E3, although we may be hearing more soon, and I'll return to that in a moment. But in addition to Avowed, they also are working on Grounded, that being a smaller scale project. They have Josh Sawyer's unannounced project, some kind of non-combat focused RPG, Brandon Adler's unannounced project, which we don't know much about, and finally, The Outer Worlds 2. So seemingly at least 5 distinctive projects are currently in active development at Obsidian, 2 of them AAA RPGs. Both of those AAA RPGs seemingly starting development in 2019. After Microsoft purchased Obsidian, it did grow. It doubled in size from around 100 devs before the purchase to closer to 200 now, or it seems like they've actually exceeded 200 developers. But the timeline here is still kind of confusing or interesting. When One of the pretty reputable insiders around all of this, Sponger, has leaked quite a bit about Avowed and has recently said it is targeting a late 2022 to early 2023 release date. But could The Outer Worlds 2 actually hit a release date in 2023? That seems kind of crazy to have two AAA RPGs from one company in the same year. But even then, at a late 2023 release date, it would still be about 4 years of dev time, assuming all of these numbers are correct. But it just seems crazy and like that isn't quite possible. Although we may actually know more about this very shortly. We are getting Xbox Game Showcase extended this Thursday, and it does say during this they'll be interviewing Obsidian devs. In a separate blog post, it was also described how, for those wondering about Avowed, the team is hard at work making something we're sure fans of our games and the Pillars of Eternity universe are going to love. While we are not showing anything right now, we are looking forward to showing off what we have been working on soon. So perhaps we get a couple of details about Avowed or even see more of it in 2021. Sponger also claimed that he heard we would be seeing something from the game this year, so perhaps later in the year we'll see some gameplay. So now the interesting development or release date question aside, we also want to look at what we actually know about this game, as they are taking a pretty interesting approach with it. We don't know a ton, obviously. The trailer was great, again, one of the best CGI or kind of far out trailers we got at E3. And with this much dev time, even though they're poking fun at things in the trailer, I imagine a lot of what we see in the trailer does end up in the final game. We see a sprat right off the bat. This is being one of the creatures from The Outer Worlds 1. The planet in general is really pretty. But you could also see 3 or so planets in the background, and one of which has some kind of weird thing going on. Almost looks like a cosmic event or purple explosion. I kind of doubt that's irrelevant or nothing. It seems like that definitely is something that might be a little Easter egg or teaser in the trailer. You can see some new armors or weapons, some jet assisted armors, which are awesome, and also ends with this cryo suit, which is the exact same one from The Outer Worlds 1. In The Outer Worlds 1, you start off in cryo sleep, just being woken up. Maybe something similar is how The Outer Worlds 2 is kicked off. But one of the biggest reveals thus far just came from the announcement tweet by Obsidian on Twitter. What did you say? New star system, new crew, same Outer Worlds, which seems to confirm the setting will be completely different. The Outer Worlds 1 takes place in Halcyon, and by them saying new star system, it does suggest that it's not going to be in the Halcyon star system, but a completely different one, which would mean a lot of those characters probably won't be making a return. The storylines are probably not going to be continued, but things are taken in a different direction, which does kind of make sense considering this is likely to be a much larger game. Kind of allows them to build anew, but also reuse what they want to. Seems pretty clear Spacer's Choice is going to be making a return, but that makes sense. It's a corporation. It could be in multiple systems, not just Halcyon. And overall, I'm really excited for this one. It really feels like, although 2021 isn't going to have a ton of great RPGs, at least not from Xbox, the next couple of years should hopefully be really full. Stalker 2, Starfield, Avowed, Inzile's new RPG, The Outer Worlds 2, and even things like Cyberpunk 2077 expansions. There's a lot to talk about and cover coming up. We just have a year or so wait before we really get there. Either way, hopefully this got you up to date and a bit more informed on the situation with The Outer Worlds 2. It is certainly an interesting one. And if we get any more updates on this game, Avowed, or anything else this Thursday, I will definitely bring another update video for all of you. So again, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.